Basically, a vision I have on life, probably because I was trained as an economist, is that you can think of every day as either an investment day or as a consumption day. And a day is an investment day if all else is basically equal, and the next day you are closer to your goals or whatever you want to achieve in life than you were yesterday. So if you did one thing that's a good investment for the future, that doesn't help you now, but it's for the future, then it's basically a good day. Investment days are good days. If you didn't achieve such a thing, then you better make it a consumption day, which means that what you did today, either you're still the same way off or you're a bit further away from your goals, but at least you enjoyed it a lot. Those are consumption days. And just like with a budget, you want to make sure that basically you maintain credit over your life. And you want to have a lot of investment days. And that one thing is actually in itself the thing that I would do. Every day you should make one investment. You should do one thing that puts you closer to where you want to be in life, not for today or tomorrow, but long term. And then often you will find that it really only takes one thing. Because if you do one good thing every day, maybe something you don't want to do or something that's productive, something that really needs to be done, then over time that really racks up, and you'll find that many days that's really all it takes. One good thing, one investment every day over the long term amounts to a hugely productive life.
Goal setting, I guess that would be it. Like, in I think it's like periodization. You have a macro cycle, a meso cycle, and a micro cycle, right? So macro cycle is your yearly kind of long-term goals. Meso cycle is like your short to intermediate term goals, and micro cycle is like your weekly goals. And I actually have like daily goals. I'll get up and write down like 3 things. This is what got me through graduate school, actually, because I actually was almost on probation because I was so piss poor at what I'd done my first few years of graduate school. I started going in because I got disheartened because it was so hard, not the classes but the research. So I just started going in every day and writing down 3 things I had to get done that day, and just did that every day, and that's what got me through. And so I still do that. Like, I'll wake up each morning and say, okay, what do I need to do today? All right, let's pick out 3 things that absolutely have to get done. And if I get more done than that, then that's great. But it has to be realistic too. Like, those have to be realistic goals. And then if I check those off, then I've got my, okay, what do I want to get done this week and this month or couple months, right? And then after that, it's like, all right, what are my long-term goals within the year or next year, and I'm always thinking about those, and I'm always changing those and evolving those. And I think that when you do that, the little steps you take every day end up adding up to big changes. They say the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
I hate to sound like a rah-rah motivational type, but perseverance. I mean, just statistically, it's the number one reason. People fail for all sorts of reasons. Some people fail for lack of information. They fail from bad coaching. They fail from circumstances. But most of the time, people just don't really want to get in shape that bad and make the trade-offs. So, and that's okay. I actually am one of those guys in the fitness industry. I'm not a zealot about being fit. I think being fit's great, but I think a lot of other things are great too. Spending time with your friends, eating delicious foods and laughing and smoking cigars and drinking whiskey is a really good way to spend life. And I can't really tell somebody who dies at age 70 that they should have had 5 more years of fucking counting every goddamn carb they have, and that they really should have, they lived a really awesome life, and more power to them. I don't judge people for not being fit, but at the same time, if you're going to be fit, you're going to have to make some trade-offs. And some people just aren't willing to make the trade-offs, which isn't a bad thing. They're just not willing to make the trade-offs. And they probably know it most of the time. You're around fit people enough to know that the people who don't really get their fitness goals are saying, I just don't feel like dieting. That's totally cool. Just got to admit when it's your fault and not society or some other thing.
Small changes add up to enormous results. And, if someone has a goal, and I realize there's a contradiction between making small changes that are sustainable and seeing results quickly enough to be happy. And that's kind of a contradiction that's in the way. But it's in all behaviors, right? I think as adults, we forget how long it took us to learn the alphabet. We forget how long, because we were young and time didn't mean anything, right? The fact that it took 3 years to learn a basic skill when you're 5 doesn't matter. When you're 35 or 28 or 45, the idea of taking a year to become basically competent in guitar or to reach your goals or to learn a new language, that's just completely foreign to us because we don't time is of the essence, and who wants to wait that long? And I think accepting that, realizing that not only is it going to take longer than you think, but that very small incremental changes have profound long-term results, and reconceptualizing at least part of your approach to behavior change that way. Like, not saying that there can't be larger changes, but for a lot of people, big changes equal big failures.
The neglected aspect is just having a life, to be honest. Some people and even some of the authorities seem to be so stuck in just everything is based around their workouts and around their meals. And how visible their six-pack is and how much they bench and everything, and start looking at your whole life as a timeline from birth to death, to do your own funeral speech, because you have to actually be there and deliver this speech about yourself and your life and what impact did you have on the world, what is your legacy, what did your life consist of, what did you do with your life. And I just found it completely mind-blowing to be standing there and talking about myself and what did I actually do with my life. And I just couldn't get myself to say, well, you did spend every fucking day in the gym and obsessing about his biceps or his abs. That it just doesn't, you can't even form the words. So, I mean, there's so many more important things in life than just looking like a Greek god or whatever, or being able to bench 500 pounds. So I think most people in the physique industries need to have a sort of a grander perspective on what they're doing. And don't forget your friends, don't forget your family, don't forget to live, don't forget to go outside and play, don't forget the child that we all have inside that sometimes, didn't get to fully develop when we were actually children.
Myself into that. But what I want to say is, if you are working on writing a book, there's a little story that comes to mind, and the person who wrote the book, House of Sand and Fog, I think is the name of it. It was made into a movie. I didn't see the movie or read the book, but I don't know, people liked it. But that book was written, the guy wrote it at 20 minutes a day. So I think it was he would drive. It was like on his way home from work, because he had a family. And he would park his car at like a cemetery or something, if I remember, and he would write on a notepad, longhand, 25 minutes a day. That's it. And then he would go home and he'd be a father and husband, do all that stuff, and that was it. And then he eventually finished the book, and it went on to achieve at least a relative measure of success. So don't think that just. Don't, there was I think I heard on a podcast, or it was in a book or something, where I just like the concept of a lot of people, they overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. And I really like that concept, and it's kind of almost like a consoling thought, because I've experienced that myself. Jeremy and I have experienced that, where we thought right now, a year ago, we thought that the new Muscle for Life was going to be 100% done. Like, all of the cool things that we wanted to do with it was going to be 100% done by now. And we're just starting on it. And it's not because, we just got lazy along the way and, felt like doing other things. It's mainly because one project for Legion that we thought was going to take a month ended up taking 5 months. So, and so we run into that many times, and I run into that myself, where in estimating, even if you're willing to you're not trying to shy away from the effort and the amount of work that something's going to take. You're not trying to think that you're going to write 150,000 word book in a month, and it's going to be, won't even need an edit or anything like that. We just tend to have, us humans, we tend to have that tendency to think in best case scenarios, and our best case scenarios are kind of in many cases almost fantastical. So that can lead us to poor short-term planning, and then setting ourselves up for disappointment and setting us up for becoming disillusioned with our goals, because, when we went into this, we thought in a year I'm going to be able to do this. And then a year goes by and you haven't even done, maybe you've done 10% of it. So I like to just remind, just something to keep in mind myself. I think it's worth sharing that, again, if you stretch that out to go, okay, so, if I just plod along, if I just every day I keep showing up and I keep on putting the work in, even if it's 30 minutes a day, in 4 years, you know, I'm going to have this project done. That is, there's power and personal power in being able to do that. And, you know, I can relate a little bit to that because I have a fiction project that I've been working on. Well, I mean, this project I've been working on maybe close to a year, and it has gone through many iterations, and you know, a lot of work has gone into getting it to where it's at right now. But it's probably, given that I have maybe 5 hours a week to give it, and I would say 6 or 7 hours at the high end, it's probably going to be another year before it's done. So, you know, that's just something that the fact that I'm just accepting that now sets me up for success, as opposed to, you know, maybe trying to tell myself that somehow this thing, I'm going to get it done in 3 months. And then 3 months from now, I'm like, you know, not even close. And then I get to.
And I think, especially with people who are like younger people who are starting out, that fear of not progressing, like they want it now, they want fast progress. So it's a lot of insecurities dictate their decision making. And that's like, so as an older athlete now, I realize that, you know, I'm pretty patient now. And I'm very secure with my training, very secure with the way I diet. Like, I'm secure with my methods for myself and with my athletes because I've done it for so long. So there's no, like, experience basically cures insecurity. It's like you guys. I mean, you could probably go back to when you're, you know, 10 years old, you know, and to you're now. I mean, you've gone through a lot in your life. Now you're secure with a lot of things you do now because you've gone through it.
Yeah.
At the same thing with bodybuilding is like people just don't understand that you got to have patience. It's natural bodybuilding too. It's like muscle. It's like watching the paint dry, trying to grow muscle, you know, so you have to be patient. Otherwise, if you let your insecurities get the best of you, that's when you start making bad decisions. You know, that's when you're like, okay, I need to get this PR. Like, you shoot for PR all the time, and you end up hurting yourself because you're taking too many risks. You know, and then if you're hurt or banged up, injured, then you're on the sidelines. You're not in the game playing, or you might be in the game playing, but you're not playing at 100%. And here's Mr. Turtle here, who's going at 100% smartly, passing that person by because they're just taking too many risks or making poor decisions.